Okay, as I understand it, we are now streaming live. Right, now to do various things. Save. There we go. Yes. Bada boink. What? No, stop. Can I pop that out? Yeah, I can pop out that. Okay, that's good. So boink. There's that. Okay, so I've got the chat sitting there. That's nice. That is a good. One metric, good. Lovely. Right, now to let people let the townsfolk know. No, that's there we go. Right, derp derp deep doop dip, derp doop derp doop da da doo. Hopefully this works. Interesting. Hello. Probably doing this wrong actually. Hang on. There we go. Switch to moi. Yeah, whatever. Cool. Lovely. Let's have a nice pop out chat. There we go. Hopefully that works. I do wonder if anyone can actually hear me. This is working, right? Do I need to add myself? Text, webcam, audio? It has been so long since I've had to do this, I cannot honestly remember any of this. um, but in this room somewhere. I do hope I put all this in the right place or something. Sure, that will do. I have no clue. Anyone watching? It's participants. Oh, okay. Oh well. Facebook just to see if it's actually added anything up there. Yeah, well, no one's online, so you might as well. You can carry on. It's just we'll just worry. Oh, hello. SSM and what? Then Hano? What? Oh, push live. There we go. I have not done this in bleeding ages. Hello. My name's Tyro the Fox, and I am going to be messing around with a thing, basically. So I haven't done a stream in bleeding ages. I think the last time I did, supposed to be able to see something. Yes, you should be able to now because I have done this properly. Hello, Lord George Law. That's fun. But yeah, the general gist is I thought I would stream coding on something for fun. Let's see if this works. So can you see that? I can't tell. Yes, you can. Okay, that's good. Yeah, it is a very basic version of a game. It is extremely basic at present. How to walk through this. Okay, so the general idea is I thought it would be fun because I've been studying games for years. I do loads of stuff, and it's even part of my job. So for fun, I thought one of the things which I could do for Unus Annus, and just an idea which I thought I'd throw together, is this idea. Can you hear me, by the way? You can hear me on the stream. Okay, good. Over there is my friend Foxy Tail, and he will be on the thing over there doing things. Anyway, so I thought it would be fun to throw something quick together. The general gist is there's an episode. If not a little quiet. Hello, Blazing. Hello. You are over on this screen. I am quiet. Okay, I can sort that out. Is that better? Hello? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Going incredibly posh. It has been a while. It very much has. Am I too loud? Ah. Oh yeah, I can see. It's I'm still looking around like a lunatic. That's weird. That's very weird. Still low. Okay. Maybe there's something else I'm just not doing or sorting out with. But still low, but better. Okay, hang on. Volume range. Let's beef that up to 200 and see what that does. So, volume range. Yep, there we go. Hello. Better.
I'll let you know when it changes.
Okay, thanks. It's just I'm also trying to figure out what is the better place because I've got my webcam here, but I keep looking over here as if I am talking to a person, which clearly I am an idiot. Maybe I'm more comfortable with that over there.
Change it here.
Aha! Does it sound better? Yes? Good. Okay. You can speak. I'm sure it'll get picked up in my mic, or we just wire up with something. Anyway, how is everyone? Yeah, COVID has hit everyone pretty hard, and it's pretty miserable. But anyway, so one of the things which I've been doing quite a lot for just while I've been sitting around is that I have been kind of I've been interested in Unus Annus and watching that sort of nonsense and the idiocy. And admittedly, some of the videos aren't as interesting as they were while they were allowed to go out and do stuff, but they're still fun. I don't know what Ethan is doing anymore. I can't tell if either he's not got his meds anymore or but he's just anyway. One of the episodes which they did during the lockdown and when they totally couldn't do anything was a celebrity boxing, and I liked the idea of just taking that and making it a game because it's dirt simple. All they do is roll a d20, and both characters roll a d20, and whoever gets the higher result ends up scoring a hit. And the damage then mounts up and mounts up and mounts up, and until one of them is knocked out. Now, I thought that would be a fun thing to throw together. Now, I chose to do this when I had about 120 to 130 days left of the channel. And if you don't know about Unus Annus and its mandate and the whole idea, Markiplier and Ethan of Crank Gameplays are planning on deleting it after a year. And last time I checked, we are approaching 100 days left. So this project was appealing because it's really simple. I could probably throw it together half decently, and it should be relatively quick. Because there's another aspect of this as well, which I thought would be kind of fun. Obviously, gameplay is really basic, very, very basic, but it is something which I could crack out very easily. The problem is, in order to make it interesting, would also have to sort out animations. I am not an animator. I am not a very good animator, and I have tried. And if I swap over to the game at the present, you'll be able to see that I did end up actually trying to make a little Mark sprite. Now, if I keep trying to do these and keep trying to do them regularly, probably on Friday or something, you might see some progress and stuff in between just to sort of speed things up, or maybe I'll just do more streams, who knows. But yeah, the problem is that they do have little animations and things, and this is something which I made very, very quickly in a program called Pixel. I'm not great as an animator, but I can sort of do it-ish with these very basic little 1 or 2 frame sort of animations. And the idea is that Mark here is sort of clicking his fingers to perform some attack, because the persona of Arnus is a pseudo-philosophical, magical nonsense. But there's sort of like he's supposed to be mysterious and weird. So the idea that he attacks by just clicking and that causes damage, and that when he dies he disappears and he summons a little hourglass out of nowhere as his victory animation. It's not that hard. It's quite easy to miss, actually, because yeah, unfortunately the sprites are too damn small. Uh, but for the most part, the idea is that it's just a couple of things, and they just fight in the same way that the episode does. So what I was thinking of was trying to open up the sprite pipeline. So what that means is, you know what, just for fun, paint. There we go. Okay, so no, great. Okay, so the pipeline is literally how you get assets from your computer into game. And the way that I've got it set up at the moment, at least, is you have asset. It is the incredibly pretty thing, and we will dub this Bob. There, Bob the asset. Bob the asset now has to be picked up by the computer, and we have to try and to make this as easy as possible for 2 reasons. Hopefully there's going to be like about 100 days left of Unus Annus, and I was hoping that I could throw this together really quickly with as much as what Phaser lets me do, while still being able to while still being at least accessible to the layman and most animators. I have only a cursory knowledge of what I expect most animators to be able to do. Some technical stuff, like some very basic bits and pieces here and there. You know, like tweak a file here and there, and that sort of thing. I am not expecting them to try and unload up loads of nonsense and stuff. Though obviously, a lot of digital animators will probably be working with a lot of code and stuff like this. So yeah, my general idea is that I would think of um, trying to create this pipeline. So uh, at the moment, the way that it works is that the game. So Bob the asset goes on what's called a manifest. So Bob, there we go. I'm glad I chose a name which is easy to draw. This is the manifest, and the manifest just has a list of all the assets within the game. There is also a load of other bits and pieces. So there's that should also link. So this also comes with a load of extra files, and the extra files are they dictate what sprite goes to what and how they work and how they fit together, and then how they are then created into the basic functions of the game. And all that an animator would have to do is to create an attack, a attack, take damage animation, an idle animation, a defeat animation, and I think I think that's it. Just looking at my code here. Let's see. Idle, attack, damage, defeat. Oh, and victory, of course, a victory animation as well. So yeah, this going to be a bit. This is a bit complicated and techy. I have not done this before. I've done streams and things before, and I'm just realizing that I have not shaved. Wow, I stay on target, Kieran. So, the general idea is that you try and so you register the bits and pieces. You have a bunch of sprites, and you register the whole lot on the manifest. So that you sort of encompass the entire thing, and the manifest is the register of what character you have in the game. These files dictate how the images of the particular animations and frames are then turned into attacks and animations and different stuff, right? Basically it. And then then the game reads in the manifest. So that goes in. The game reads in manifest and takes particular assets and sort of has those in the game as a character and manipulates those so that then we can add them in. Obviously, so the aim here is to try and make adding characters as easy as possible. Does any of that make any sense? For the most part, I've just wittered on for 5 minutes, and I am not expecting anyone to have any clue what I'm on about. But anyway, yes! Thank you, Iluna. Thank you. Excellent. Good. Marvelous. Yeah. 3 years of computer games programming and university, ladies and gentlemen. All nonsense. Just bloody hell. So the last thing which I did was I did something specifically for animations. I'm going to need paint up again. Hang on. So yes, last time on this fighting thing, I very quickly threw together a version of the fighting flow, as we'll call it. So yeah, what we've got so far is we have a title screen. This is a backdrop, which we also which is just an sprite animation as well, and that is something which I hope that artists and people who pick up this game to work on are going to be able to throw in much the same way that they can do characters as well, and they can specify aspects and things of the stage which are in foregrounds and backgrounds, and they have all of that sort of thing, and they can sort of layer things on top of each other and animate them. so that they will sort of do things and they look all pretty and lovely. Uh, but yeah, this is just the splash, the opening screen, because the code which I've nicked this from, um, and based most of this from. Thank you so much. Your name is not here, but thank you so much, whoever did the Phaser 3 generic platformer example. Very cool, very interesting. I have been using your code so much; it is great. Um, it hasn't been cleaned out entirely, because even if you comment it out, it's still nice to go through it and have some idea what the hell you're doing. Anyway, so yeah, stages can be sorted out, and backgrounds and backdrops and stuff. So this is the one for the title screen, and the plan is to start adding UI elements. So admittedly, I've started doing streams at the slightly boring point, but hey, boxes and menus and characters and things, and yeah. And then you go in it, at the moment, just for testing purposes, it goes straight into the fight scene. Now, yeah, the basics are here. I still need to do a lot more work trying to get even some of the more interesting bits and pieces, and making those part of the assets pipeline as well. So things like particle effects. So whenever you strike someone with a weapon, you very often in games you'll see like a flash or some strike or sort of thing, some sort of arc or spiky thing or whatever, or something like that. Very Japanese sort of thing usually, though you see a few others. Think of also like bullet sparks. Whenever a bullet ricochets off of a wall, you see something. So that's something which we need to add in at some point as well. Little effects and explosions and things. I might go and find like a small package or something, and hopefully make it so you can add your own for different characters. But yeah, that needs to be added in. But for the most part, you've got a couple of health bars, which I kind of like the design of. Unus Annus, if you don't know, has a because of the fact that the channel is being deleted in roughly 100 days, and apparently being wiped off of the internet as much as they possibly can, despite everyone backing it up. um, they are they have a theme of death. In fact, the game which I've made it, I tried to come up with a full title, and the name I came up with was Unus Annus Memento Mori. It works, but yeah, they've got skulls on, um, which I thought looked kind of neat, and they got the black and white thing. If the background is very very distracting, I do apologise, and we will work on that. But yeah, the idea is you click this button and you attack, and each character has a different die result depending on the d20 which they get. So 7 versus 16. 16 is higher, therefore this character has dealt some damage to this character. Now, another thing which we might want to do at some point is, in fighting games where you gain damage, and there is like it scrolls down, but that space which the health bar was there at is usually filled up with red or some other color, right? And then that slowly ticks down. That's something we're going to have to write at some point as well. So tweens and things is not something which I've added in. Oh, there's something to drop. Tweening. If we come to it, I'll explain it. But the general gist is it's just that it's getting the computer to animate smooth animation between one point and another. You do it in tons of different places. It's a whole thing. But anyway, yeah, neatening up these so that they're a bit more visually useful to the player is quite a good thing. Yeah, and then we do another attack. This guy is absolutely roasting this guy with a 12 instead of a 4. 9. Okay, this guy is fighting back, and we've taken off a little bit of more health. 18. Another strike over here. Hit for 14. Another strike back. 15. Oh, it's getting close. And an 18. This Unus, no, yeah, Unus Annus. Annus is on his last legs. It comes down to this. Oh, a natural 20, which I can't remember if that's a 5 or. I can't remember if I've put criticals in. I don't think I have yet. That's fine. We'll ignore that. But anyway, another attack. So it comes down to this, and by a hair's breadth, this Unus Annus has managed to win. Okay, cool. By one. That's quite surprising. I should have won earlier, but whatever. So yes, this Arnus has disappeared because that's his defeat animation, and then that's his little animation there. Hopefully you can see that. It's a little bit smaller. Like the black and so like that's how you get the the back end sprites and on the screen. I'm used to Unity taking care of basically all of that. Yes, yes, Unity is wonderful for that sort of thing because unfortunately because Unity is a full engine. The difference between that is that Unity, how should I put this? Unity is like working in someone else's shed. It already has all the tools you will ever want, or all the tools which the owner and the person who keeps an upkeep of that shed is ever going to give you. They might, and you are basically through some arrangement. So, depending on what you do with it, I think Unity has like a certain amount of sales. You have to start paying them for the privilege of using the Unity engine, while Unreal Engine, I think, has some sort of deal depending on a certain size of your game and so on. But for freebie bits and pieces and most indie stuff, it's okay. But yeah, the idea is that it's as an engine, you already have all the stuff built in. So you already have a pipeline that takes all of your assets and shoves them into game. That already exists. That's fine. I, on the other hand, decided to build it in Phaser. It's not as bad as if I had built it in something called Pixie.js. Oh god. So there is a thing called WebGL, which is based sort of on OpenGL. This is a graphics wizardry arcane nonsense which I had to do in university, but it is pretty cool to work with and look at. Fundamentally, you see all of this on screen right now. That is being done by some sort of graphics program somewhere. There's a number of different competing ones. You might have heard of DirectX. That's another one, or Falcon or something like that, I think. But OpenGL is one of the big ones, and WebGL is one which I think HTML5 uses a lot, which is the latest version of HTML which we currently have, and how we have all these super amazing, fantastical stuff. Pixie.js is built on top of all of that stuff, and that is a JavaScript graphics library which allows you to do a load of really cool stuff and efficiently and capably draw things to the screen without it looking like a wizard's without it looking like a wizard trying to summon demons from hell. Trying to do your own engine from scratch with anything more advanced than an Etch-a-Sketch or like a text interface starts to become extremely difficult. It gets better as long as you know what you're looking at and what you're doing, but trying to do this sort of stuff is just a minor nightmare. Maybe I'll put the game up so I can sort of like slowly hypnotize you into thinking I'm interesting. Anyway, yes. So where was I? Pixie.js is very powerful and simplifies a lot of actually drawing things onto screen. Phaser is a gaming thing slapped on top of it, so it's a bit more of an engine in the traditional sense, but it does not have the same UI layer that something like Unity has. Unity has has that really nice UI bits and pieces which allows you to build games in it. While it has all those underlying tools and things, and I think you can interact with it without having to bother the UI bits and pieces, it's obviously much nicer. Phaser doesn't have one of those. Actually, that's not true. There is one. If Phaser doesn't have an official one of those, so typically you end up in code building things from scratch like this. It's a lot. It's a bit more old school, but to be fair, that's actually what I do for work these days. So, though not in Phaser. Phaser is much nicer than Pixie.js because Phaser has a built-in physics engine. It has a much nicer. It is a lot more to do with the pipeline of how you get assets onto screen. Assets into computer, and then computer onto screen, and then you've got other things like built-in controls for controllers and keyboards and mice and so on 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 and so on. And so on. Go have a look at Phaser. In fact, go and have a fiddle with some of their examples because a lot of them are actually kind of neat. They look pretty as well, especially the animation bit. But anyway, I've been yakking your head off for a while. So shall we get down to biscuits? Okay, so at the moment, I am currently looking at trying to do a thing. So we have our lovely, lovely Kanban somewhere. Go away. You go. There we go. Right. So we have our list of stuff we want to be in the game. At the moment, the thing which we've got at the moment, so we set up our fight scene, and we have set up the fundamental function of the game, right? So there is now a game here. You can win it. It does a thing. This is a good. Otherwise, it's just stuff on a tray in front of you, and what's the point? So now we want to set up the mode select screen, which means we need what we want eventually is, so what we probably want is, if we draw the screen here, so this is roughly what we want to see on screen. What we want for the most part is fight a button, and then maybe an options button, and then that takes you to a character select screen, and then we have a roster of characters which are and this menu is generated by generated from that manifest which I was talking to earlier. So this large register of stuff of all the characters which the game has been told about. It can go and find them, and it can go and try and load them, each one of those, into a thing, so that then you can select them, play them, and then that gets passed to the fight scene which we've just seen, and then you use that character in order to fight for stuff and do things. Hopefully that makes sense. We can go straight to TF2 if you want. Oh dear. But yes, so we are coding, so safety glasses on. Actually, how reflect? Oh, massively reflective. Oh, excellent, marvelous, superb. Anyway, so one of the lovely things which is going on at the moment is on screen is down here, believe it or not. This is a really nice little doodad. This is how to describe this? It's a little bit like a server, but sitting on my computer specifically. All this does is that whenever I make a change in any way, shape, or form on the code, so if I, for example, I don't know, if I, for example, go away and Taschenfei. What are you doing? Okay, so excuse me. Dinner was not agreeing with me, apparently. Okay, so actually, you know what? Let's put in the critical attack. So so obviously this variable right here, we have in now any budding JavaScript programmers or programmers in general. One of the things which you really want to do is separate your public variables and your private variables. Why? Because any old munchkin could come in and just grab whatever you happen to be working with, and sometimes you do not want anyone to just grab whatever they want from wherever you want them to. So, and very often you have a lot of variables which you don't need to show the player or show other developers who are working with your code. Very often, you just need to show them the basics and just what they need to know. So, you typically set things to private unless they are vitally important across the entirety of the program. JavaScript kind of doesn't have a function to do private variables with. It works by the honor code. So a normal variable does not have an underscore like that. I'm actually gonna hang on. I'm going to. Can I turn the? You probably can't see that very well. I am going to see if I can make this slightly bigger. I should have thought about this before. I'm the. Great, so the snafus, which I used to make before, are all back. Wonderful. If there's any noise which is coming, like buzzing on my. Huh? What's up?
I'm listening, like you can't see what very well. What you're talking about?
You can't see the. Can you see the text very well?
Yes.
Can you? Okay, you can see it fine. Anyone else on the thing? I won't bother otherwise. Anyway, so this in particular now is a public variable, and by the honor system which JavaScript is supposed to work by, I think a lot of programs and things which work with JavaScript will check to see whether it has an underscore in it, to check whether it's private or public, and that allows you to get around this sort of thing. But you're also up on the TV. Oh, I'm on. I have pride of place on the television. Oh, thank you, George Law. I am honoured, sir. I am honoured. Right. What nonsense was I doing? Anyway, so yeah, this variable damage power has a underscore in front of it, so that it is private. So you're not expected to access it outside of this class. If that makes any sense. I don't know the like the ratio of programmers on Everypony or anywhere else. So here goes. Right, damage power. We are now going to make crit damage power. Or should we make it a multiplier? I think we'll make it a multiplier. Crit damage multiplier. And we will make that times 5. Okay, lovely. Right, we'll grab this variable and we'll go down to where we are checking our play turns. So the lovely thing, so the thing is that this is a turn-based game. I don't know if anyone's tried making their own turn-based stuff before, but specifically in Unity, it's not the easiest thing to do. Because the easiest way I've ever seen of doing it is that you initialize a turn from a button press event. So a button gets pushed and a turn begins, and the computer starts running through the process of going through a turn. Each step in the thing, and so on and so on, like a domino set, except that it sets itself back up once it's all finished. In this case, I've done the same sort of thing because it's possible to do this in the update loop. So most game engines, in any way, shape, or form, typically have a part of the game which just keeps spinning. Just keep spinning round and round and round and round, and you hook everything which needs to be done up all the time into that, because most games are what we term real time. So anything like, I don't know, Ratchet and Clank, Metal Gear Solid, you can totally tell I was raised on Sony. Spyro, Crash, Mario, there we go, there's another one. Those sort of things are all real time, which means that stuff is always happening all the time, typically. So a Goomba has to be moved across the screen, an attack animation has to go off, a gun has to be fired, and the bullets has to travel way off into the distance. that is usually tied into the update cycle, which is usually a part of the game which just goes round and round and round and round and keeps calling things and making sure that each one iterates forwards a bit. So an animation moves on to the next frame on a particular frame call, or that Goomba moves forwards for the amount of time it is set to do for this update cycle. And that goes round and round and round and round so fast that it gives the illusion that stuff is just happening. We don't want that because our game is turn-based, so it'd be way too much trouble to try and get it so that it just sits there and waits until it's able to keep going again. It's a complete waste of time. So we do it through the button. It's a bit hacky, but it works. Anyway, so do. Let's see. So this up here, I should probably start commenting, seeing as you guys are watching, so you can follow on at home a bit. Here goes. Okay, so what's going on? So first off, we roll our d20 dice. So roll d20 dice. We do so for both players' attacks. Both players attack with 1T. Well done, Tyro. Oh dear. Okay, well, let's change that. What was I drinking when I coded this? Okay, so but we get a d20 result for each character's attack. We then also display them to the player. Update text elements to display dice result to player. So that was the numbers at the bottom being displayed. Typically what you would do in something which is a pixie-like, we'll call it. So something which uses pixie as a base is that you just create all the objects which you would want on screen at any time. You probably do this in Unity to a degree as well, but you keep them nice and invisible. So they do not exist and they are not visible until you need them. And once you need them, then you can make them pop up in existence. But otherwise, they just vanish. It's a little bit like theatre craft, I suppose. So everything is on. If it's more efficient to have something on stage, if it needs to pop out and then pop back in again, it just stays invisible and otherwise out of sight. But it's always there so that you can update it off screen and then update it while it's not visible to the player, rather, and then make it pop up on screen when you need it. So the same principle here. It's functionally invisible because it has no text to display, or rather, I think it displays a space character, and then we update it with a number. Pretty simple. So once that's visible, we then start comparing the roles given. So one player has to roll better than the other in order to land an attack. By the rules of the episode, which I'm grabbing this from, if the players have a equal value, they clash, which here means that they both play an attack animation and nothing happens otherwise. But if they do deal, let's say if player 1 manages to deal an attack on player 2, then we play the attack animation. I will explain specifically what that means in a second, because this is where we start getting into weird bits and pieces, which I can most easily do in JavaScript, which is partly why I've been working with it. The other part is, well, I do it for a living now, so it's a bit easier if I already know what I'm doing, if you see what I mean, you know. And then afterwards we deal damage to that character's opponent. Pretty simple. And obviously the inverse is true over here. We then have checks for player death. So checks to see whether each player is alive, basically. So if they have if they have any HP remaining, if they do not, then that player is made to be dead. Their defeat animation is played, and their victory the victory animation for their opponent is played instead, and that's where the program effectively ends. However, if no players are dead, then reset for another round. So a round counter might be a good idea at some point, but for now, the idea here is, of course, we check to see whether there is any HP remaining on both of our characters. If that is true, then then we reset the attack button to be visible, so it reappears again, and we've set it up in the button object itself. Where is that? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here which I haven't cleared out because it's useful, because it's just nice to have a working example to work from, which was originally the project originally was a phaser version of Super Mario Bros, which they had managed to throw together. Very impressive, a bit janky in its gameplay, but pretty good all the same. Yes, so one of the things here is okay. So oh god, the button is hooked into what we call a callback. So a little bit like when you ring someone up on the phone. A little bit like if you are on Discord and anyway, if you ring someone up on the phone and you, I don't know, like your mum or something, and it goes straight to voicemail, and you specifically says callback, that sort of logic, right? It's coding. It's not rocket science. It's computer science. So literally, what it says on the tin, it is just when something happens, do this, and that's called a callback. And we have a callback which we've set up for this, but we've also made it stipulated that if you have a callback to give, then you play that callback, and if you are visible, then you can do that. If you are not visible, then you are considered inert and you cannot do something. Yeah, pretty simple, pretty decent, and it's worked so far. So that's the code. Yeah, that's pretty much most of the extent of it. The rest of it is just getting characters on screen and into the game. So most of this is happening in the boot scene, where we grab all of the assets for the health bar, all of the assets for the buttons, go and find all of the character data based on the manifest file, which here we go, characters, Unus, yeah, and then he's got an animation, an atlas, and a sprite sheet, or a sprite atlas, which has all of his sprites condensed into the smallest possible space. There's all my lovely artwork. A bit basic, but like I said, I am not an artist. I don't claim to be one anyway. Yeah, so some data, this sort of data gets turned into a thing, and then we have the character manifest, which just stipulates that this is a character, and here's where you find all his stuff. So that's the game as it stands. The exciting bit is this bit, or at least the bit which I was trying to explain earlier. Wow, I am a windbag. What the hell? Anyway, this, every single time we make any changes, it takes down a version, takes out the old version, quickly builds a very like a rough version of what we've just written into with the changes we've made, and then re-uploads it to its sort of private virtual server thing and puts it on screen. Pretty simple, really useful. Anyway, we were adding a critical hit attack, so let's see, we'll add it into this chain, I think. Yes, okay, so we'll add it here. We'll check to see if the player... So this is... so if player 1 has been successful, then we'll check to see if the player 1 attack equals 20. If it equals 20, then we'll just throw that down there for a second. Copy. Grab that. Grab that. So the damage of the attack there, that there, and then else. Boop. If it is not a critical hit, i.e. a 20, then it does not do anything. It just does normal damage. If not, then it is damage power times the critical damage multiplier. Pretty simple. And we will do the same check over here. Spa. Okay, and then we copy, paste. So how, anyone got any nice weekend plans? I have the best plan of all, absolutely sod all. No interest whatsoever in doing anything particularly exciting. I've got 13th age with Foxy over there, which will be good fun. I'm playing a character which I quite like the idea of. The idea is that an inventor, a simple artificer, a engineer of the what was it? The archmage of the land has found out that his lover, a prince which lives nearby, has been kidnapped by the Lich, the Arch Lich, and this plucky young man attempts to go out and save him. It goes horribly, horribly wrong. The engineer is found almost immediately and is captured by the Lich King. That's his name, the Lich King, and for his trouble, mostly just to toy with him because it's not really worth like a level 5 spell or whatever, he turns him into a mouse, and the Lich King attempts to feed him to a cat. However, the engineer is able to escape, and he is able to run away and return to his workshops. The problem is that now he is determined to save his lost love, but he's a mouse, so what the hell does he do? Thankfully, the Archmage, which he works for, happens to have a spare robot body, because there's such a thing as Warforged within this world, which is just sort of like sort of magic tech, steampunky sort of robot people. They're usually used as like robot slaves sort of things. It's kind of neat. Kind of think of like the machines the Dwemer make in Skyrim. That. The idea is that my character was transformed into a mouse and repurposed a Warforged body as a sort of mech for him, so that he can continue to operate and work. And now he is roaming the world as Argon, the Warforged warrior, when in reality it's actually just a little ditty mouse trying to run around trying to keep his robot body from being destroyed. I thought that was a really cute idea, and I've been wanting to play something like that for ages. I thought it was such a fun idea. It came from a previous game where I think some of us joked that a Warforged, which I ran a game in, had a small mouse which he kept in a small pocket, like a little door hinge thing. Thank you very much. Yeah, he had a little pocket here, and he kept a dormouse in it. And we joked the idea that the way that his short rest worked, because in 5th edition D&D, whenever you take a short rest, you're able to fix yourself up. And the way that it's usually explained within universe is that the Warforged just gets out a bunch of tools and starts, like ratcheting on its arm again, that sort of thing, or slapping on some extra armor and getting out the blowtorch and going to town on its thigh, that sort of thing. We liked the idea that it was actually the mouse that got out during the night and started scurrying around with a tiny little blowtorch, just running around and just fixing up the Warforged as a sort of thank you for being its house. And I loved the idea that the mouse itself was the character, and that they were the one in charge, and they were roaming around this Warforged body in order to keep it alive. So far, in obviously, I've had to tell the players this within the 13th Age game, what I've done, and obviously the DM knows, so they all know. In character, they haven't done everything yet. I think Argon has gotten angry enough so far once, so that the character makes, while he's shouting, characters which were standing too close to him could hear squeaking inside the helmet. The thing I have, the sort of imagination, what I imagine is that inside, like the head and the sort of like around here ish, is a sort of like almost like a like a harness where the mouse is sort of standing in there like a Iron Man suit, hooked up to this sort of voice modulation thing, which is also providing air or something, and he's sort of just shouting at some bad guy who's very connected to the Lich King, because he gets very, very angry and very anxious whenever he's fighting against any of these guys. But yeah, no one has noticed yet that no one knows in character yet that it's actually a mouse scurrying around. That they just think it's a Warforged, a very weird one. And I think the closest they've gotten so far is that one of the characters has picked up that there is a scuttling noise during the night whenever Argon just shuts off for a few seconds, because the mouse inside him is doing repairs, and like it's the Star Trek Enterprise, but only he's on board. And as a result, Argon is just stock still for the entirety of this time, and one of the characters has been able to hear that noise, and Argon is just sort of sheepishly just sort of what waved it away, is that, oh no, it's just my auto repair system, it's absolutely fine, nothing, no problems here, no, not at all, no, well, it couldn't be anything. It's a cute idea. Go and steal it. Go and steal it at all. The one thing it has to do is you have to do with it though is that I did do rules where you effectively split the character in half. So if you ever do this for a system, try and make sure that you can get stats for a mouse and effectively give yourself two characters. One is the Warforged, but they only have the physical attributes of your character. So they only have strength, constitution, and dexterity. The other ones, the intelligence ones, are provided by your mouse. And when the mouse is outside of their Warforged body, which may happen for whatever reason, you are getting up. Okay, fair enough. Is it plagiarism? I am actively saying to do so. Please go ahead. Please go ahead. You use this character. Or at least make your own version of this character. Anyway, as I was saying, please go ahead. I don't think I've nicked it specifically from anywhere, and if I have, it's completely coincidental. No, because I'm actively saying, please use this. It's such a cool idea. Go ahead, please do. I don't mind. I don't care. I'm fine. I'd be happy to know people have done this. Anyway, so yeah, the intelligence part of your Warforged isn't actually active unless the mouse is in control. So you should be setting this to 000 for the Warforged body itself, because it is effectively inert unless it has its operator. The operating mouse, and I've had other characters do this as well, like one of my a game in a custom setting I've run called Barak did this as well, with a kobold, which did the same thing, but he was wearing this, he was effectively wearing it like an Iron Man suit, right? But the same principle applied. So he had kobold stats instead, but all of his intelligence modifiers are like, so his mind modifiers, so intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, they are the ones which are put in put on that character, but they have all the physical stats of that character. So if they're a mouse, they have physical mouse stuff. They have the strength of a mouse, the dexterity of a mouse, the constitution of the mouse, and the hit points of a mouse. But or if they're kobold, the strength, the dexterity, constitution, and hit points for mouse only. But their intelligence are the ones which you got from your character. So you effectively split it in half. And I love the idea of that, because it means that now you have forced a sort of synchronicity and an interesting dynamic for your character, which is also represented within the mechanics. And you've handed your DM a really juicy knife to play with. You know, a DM would, like, I'm sure Foxy will back me up on that. Yes, he's nodding. He is nodding. Yeah, handing your DM something as kind of cute and kind of cool as, that sort of liar, almost like that liar's reveal sort of thing. I know it's a cliche in a lot of movies, but and honestly, I'm sick of it. But that you can have that denouement where everyone finds out that you've actually been a mouse in a robot suit the entire time, and have to deal with the fallout of that. And I cannot wait until they find out. It will be so much fun, so cool. Yes. Anyway, back to the coding. So I'm going to try out a UI thing before my voice completely destroys itself. I might go and grab some water in a second. God, I forgot how awful the old talking for hours on end is on the vocal cords. Oh boy. Well, so we're going to be downloading some bits and pieces from something called NPM, because we are working within something called Node. So Node is a JavaScript platform which we build on top of. It is that simple. We can build things on top of it, but we have to have it installed on wherever we have it. But once we do, we can run Node programs all day long and do all sorts of nonsense with it. Node allows us to also run JavaScript on its own, so which ordinarily we would need an entire website in order to do. Even a really basic HTML thing, we would need to do that. But Node can just run HTML like it's nothing, which is really nice and really powerful. But another thing which we can do is we can pull in plugins and useful software from something called NPM. I can't remember what it's called, what it stands for, but it's a package manager is what they generally call it. So that's probably what it stands for, Node Package Manager, NPM. Yes, you do that. What are you playing? Sounds fun. Anyway. Right, so with that revelation, so yeah, NPM, we're going to grab something called Phaser Rex plugins. I've not tried these before. Hopefully these are useful. Nope. But in order to do that, we need to throw in some console commands. Hopefully this should be nice and simple, and we should just be able to... Fine, I will type it in by hand like a caveman. NPM I Phaser 3 Rex plugins. There we go. Good. So what I aim to do at the moment is we'll do baby steps, I think, for tonight. And then afterwards, I think I'll play some DF2 or something. That sounds fun. Because it's the Fridays. I don't want to do too much on the Fridays, even though, yeah, I know, like sub 10, but I can do more tomorrow or something. Right. Now we wait for this to download while I'm streaming. Oh, this is a good idea. I am so impressed with this computer. It is done remarkably well. And I've cranked everything up, and this should be running as better as I've ever done it. Have you ever played Dead by Daylight, Tyro? No, because that sounds like a scary game. I don't know if you've ever seen me trying to play Five Nights at Freddy's 2, but I do not like. I can handle it, but only to a certain degree. So, in fact, one of the things which I did manage to grab relatively recently, I have a VR kit now. Perks of a job. What are your hardware specs? I am currently running a i5 8600K. I think I've got 16 gigabytes of RAM, and I have a GTX 1060 6 gigabytes on board. I got this for £1,000 a couple of years ago, so it's doing pretty well, and it can run VR pretty decently for the most part. Well, I've got an HTC Vive Pro, which I managed to find for a song, by the way, so that's lovely.
It's not like a regular stream.
Lucky, lucky old me. Yes, yes, I have. Yeah. Damn. Stick to one conversation, Kieran. Honestly. Anyway, so, but yeah, Half-Life Alex. Yes, I was about to get to that. So, Half-Life Alex, I've tried playing that for a bit, and that's done. Lovely. But yeah, Half-Life Alex has been so amazing because it's just Half-Life in VR. I don't know what else to say about it. It is just Half-Life in VR. And that's a really good and actually quite impressive thing, because Half-Life, like like games and things, and that sort of narrative experience is actually kind of awkward to try and do in VR just because of the limitations. So aspects. I'm talking to camera. I might as well look at you. So like aspects of storytelling, what the usual bits and pieces that, and the gameplay and shooting and running around and exploring vast environments, and rendering all these sort of vast vistas in the distance, and having characters worth a damn, and all the fun quirks and all that sort of thing. We've done it in the head of Gordon Freeman just fine. The only difference is that someone talks for us every so often. Really, it is just Half-Life, but you're waggling one of these around every so often. It's actually really fun. But I was about to bring up Half-Life Alex in particular because for anyone who is going to get a chance to play this, once you get into the sewers, be careful, because it's at that point that they start to turn off the lights. You have never been more terrified than having to stumble through the dark with a torch on your other hand that I'm pretty certain I could start scraping my knees together and create more light than this bloody thing has, and inching slowly through the darkness, avoiding head crabs and zombies, which you can only see once you vaguely see them. And unfortunately, you have limited ammunition. You only have a pistol. You only have a shotgun at that point, and both weapons have very limited ammunition. The best you can do is find a an explosive canister, pull it towards you, and then throw it on the ground and shoot it. That is probably the most least wasteful version of having a grenade, right? The problem is that because it's in VR, you no longer have that disconnect between you and Gordon Freeman. Gordon Freeman was probably absolutely weeing himself in that HEV suit. I'm pretty certain they needed to tip it out and empty it of his urine after the events of Half-Life 2 alone, probably halfway through at some point, probably one of the loading screens he's being emptied of the piss which he is expelling in all directions, right? Because god damn it, you're being chased down by zombies. You're being chased down by creatures the creatures which latch onto your head and then despite all logic, burst open your chest cavity and then start making you wander around on its own strange volition, right? As a mindless, near mindless creature of nothing but destruction, right? That are just the most illogical but bizarre creature which is somehow thriving on this planet. And what's even worse is that the behavior of the head crabs in the original game, where they just jump at you, might give you a startle. When it's in VR, your brain has figured out that like it's put itself within the universe, so your suspension of disbelief is that much more. That means that when a head crab jumps at you, you haven't got that barrier of the screen. So it is terrifying to have this thing screech and then fly up and then attach itself to your chest and start taking damage. They're not actually that dangerous. You can take them down in three. I was about to say three shits for some reason. You can take them down in 3 shots, and then they latch onto you and they start doing smallish amounts of damage, right? Enough to be a problem. You obviously don't want to have them on there. And the idea is that you literally reach over, grab them, and throw them to the ground. That is the calm version. The amount of swearing and screaming, which normally happens whenever this happens, and thankfully it only happens occasionally because of how VR is and that sort of thing, and sort of like the delays of people and other bits and pieces. There's actually like a small amount of delay between each encounter. So a monster appears, he sort of stands there for a second, telegraphs his attack, and that usually gives you enough time to reach over your shoulder, grab some ammo, shove it in your gun, do 13 calculations in order to get the bloody thing to load the pistol, aim, fire. That they usually give you a bit of room and a bit of time in order to get that working, so that you can do stuff. The Combine a little bit more dangerous later on, but that's expected. But for the most part, these monsters are okay enough, and you can handle them. But because my brain is in game, I am just terrified of these things. It's all because of you. Yeah, amazing experience. Apps Half-Life Alex, I really do recommend. That and Budget Cuts I got to play for a bit, and again, it's another example of my brain has just gone into I am interfaced. I am in the matrix. As far as my brain is concerned, I am hugging up against this wall I can clearly see as I lean around in order to see the robot plod by, and then stand there with my knife contemplating whether I should kill him. Funny enough, we've only got just enough space within the space behind me in my living room for a VR kit, but the problem is that, as you can see, Foxy's desk is only over there. That means that if I'm standing up in the area behind me, I am swinging my arms around. Foxy cannot comfortably sit at his desk without the risk of me clocking him over the head with about £200 worth of equipment. So occasionally he has to sort of sit over there on the sofa and turn the screens around. But no, apparently there's a few giggles to be had of me outside of just ignoring what's on screen, because you can obviously see it, but watching me getting full into it like I'm James Bond around the corner, just yeah. Having a VR and stuff has been an absolute blast, and what a time to try it, right? Hoisky poisky. Well, has anyone been doing anything new recently? Anyone been playing anything interesting? George Law, have you got VR yourself? Anything neat? Yes. Well, while I wait for you, let's see. So we have the bump over here. No, there we go. Right, so we've installed the plugin. Oh, okay. Seem to plug in. Why do we have to? Okay, so what it's saying, if we bring this over here, what am I doing? So we've got the import of the Rex UI plugin. Assumingly, we should be able to just pull that in where we need it. What it's suggesting is that we have we have a config object at the beginning of our phaser project, and that should be able to pull in bits and pieces and sort it all out. A little bit of VR, but I don't play it often. Setup tends to take a minute. I'm running 2 D&D sessions this weekend, though. Oh, very good, very interesting. What's yeah? Well, one, obviously, what edition, and two, can you tell us a little bit about the D&D games? Don't get me started on D&D. I already talked your ear off about my Argon, my Warforged, who's really a mouse. Talking about like my D&D world and my characters and my players' characters as well. I just go on for bleeding ages, though. That is why you strewn into a stream. That's it. I should know. I've seen one once. Yes, so seen. What the hell do I do? Oh, I see. Okay, so there is a plugins object, and assumingly there is a subset of them called scene plugins, and we add one of those as a thing. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Have we already got plugins in there somewhere? Package lock? No, that's node nonsense. We don't need to bother with that. No, I think it's npm nonsense. It's nonsense of a caliber we don't need to bother with. This will probably be title screen? Title scene. No. Main. Here we go. Plugin scene. Plugins. Okay, we do not have a plugins object. That's good. We can probably just nick the one they've got here and drop it in. Ugh, click the right button. There we go. Hoka. Bang. Right. Okay, so we have plugins. We have scene plugins. So we should probably do these at the top because, well, probably just because it would make them, oh, at least somewhere near the top. There we go. We'll do it there. Well, maybe we should. I don't know.
What?
Whatever. We'll pop you there because why not? Plugins.
Oh, you want?
Good. Okay, we have that object, which is telling. Right. So, oh, right. Yes. No, we have to. Okay. So, okay, we should be able to grab that. Okay, underneath phaser, we'll grab our plugin. Hopefully that's correct. Yes, it has found it. Good. So, what this is doing is so using this bit of the screen here, we've gone to a bit of the internet somewhere, some server somewhere for npm stuff. We've gone there, we've gone, hello Mr. Server, please may I have the Rex UI plugin, and it goes, yes, you may, and it goes off into its wardrobe or something, plucks out the code, that gets handed down to us, and then we put it into a special folder on our project. It's usually, here we go, node modules. This is a module in Node.
Yelling at people to get down at some point.
And that's in there somewhere. I'm not going to go find it because there are loads of things in this. Dev. Okay, cool. So yes, now we've got that module in the game. We need to tell the computer to use it. So that's what this line is for. So we go through all the stuff and we specifically go, please, Mr. Game, give us this module so that we can load it into the game. And then from that game, we then tell Phaser about it because the game now has it, but it's not doing anything with it. So in order to then use it within Phaser, so that Phaser can handle it and load it and do all the bits and pieces and gubbins with it and stuff, we need to tell Phaser about our brand new spanking plugin, and then it'll grab it from that from that config information, hopefully set it up correctly, and hopefully be okay. Should we check the game? Actually, let's check the. Yeah, it seems to have done it. If we check the game. Hello? Oh no. Here we go. Okay, so I brought up the development console. Class extends value unidentified is not a constructor or null. Oh no. It doesn't know what it's talking about. Class extends value unidentified is not a constructor or null. What? I really hoped you would just work. Well, poop.
Yeah. I really like this LMG.
Okay, so what this is telling us is that if I just make this slightly bigger, I think. No? Okay, whatever. I will work out how to do that for next time I do this. But for now, this line here, phaser game objects dot shape. Apparently, it has no idea what that is.
Fun. Using what, sir?
It's not a constructor or
no,
null.
I'm using.
So it is either that it does not have a constructor, or that it does not know what it is because it does not exist.
The one that turns your house into armor.
Oh,
You get armor
joy. My compatriot over there is playing playing a little bit of Payday 2, which I have to admit we both have been getting into, which has been quite good fun. Ooh, Jord Law has said something. 5e because I'm basic. Hey, 5e is good. 5e is fun. The 5e, yeah, okay, 5e is basic, but that's also kind of part of its strength. You can just sort of mash things together in 5e and it'll all work out in the end. It's not like like Pathfinder or 13th Age, where, no, 3.5, where the numbers actually mean something and matter. But yes, first game is a smaller group, 3 players, setting as homebrew to Sun Up World's Eft. Team got asked to check up on the dwarves to see why they stopped checking up. Cool. Players tend to avoid encounters at all costs, so it'll be interesting to see what they do in a big old cave system. Ah, interesting. Second game is a fairly vanilla dragon heist, but they had half a campaign leading up to it, so everybody is overleveled. No biggie, but have to upscale the encounters. Ah, okay. Yeah, Dragon Heist is yeah, the big name, the big name modules for 5th edition have been kind of cool actually. Myself, I have I've been reading a little bit of I've been reading a little bit of Curse of Strahd. Yes, the vampire one. Yeah, it is quite fun. I am going to keep this accent because I'm sure it will annoy someone. It is fun. It has very interesting stuff. I have only just started reading it, but I do like the idea that it has a central villain that will attempt to strike and is a sort of massive allegory for a very abusive man. It is very interesting, and this overarching villain, this hate sink of a man that you will attempt to psych you out and strike a wedge into the party, and hopefully turn them against you or break them into his playthings. A vampire after my own heart. Not really. No. 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 Um, yeah, and it has some really neat ideas. Like, for example, in order to no, no, I should not. That's sort of spoiled. Um, if you don't want to hear this, turn away now. But one of the really cool things is that part of the adventure is that you start the game with a tarot reading. The idea is that you set up that the game is going to have the game effectively has randomly generated elements which you generate using a deck of cards, and depending on what you do at the beginning ends up influencing certain aspects of the game later, which is quite a neat idea. As those are bits and pieces where Strad can jump in and mess with the players, and you have lots of little bits and pieces. It looks really fun. I was thinking of throwing it together because I think in my setting we're getting to the point where I said to my players that I was going to take a break so I can write the next bit. And one of the things which I suggested during that break is we might try some one shots, we might try some other things, might try some other systems, might even allow some of my players to DM for a bit instead. So pretty cool, pretty cool. And I thought I'd start reading this just out of curiosity. If nothing else, it can give me some ideas, or it's just fodder to throw on the fire at some point if I want to. But yeah, the Dragon Heist I've also heard is supposed to be pretty good. Kind of. I have not read it at all, and I know barely anything about it. But yeah, it seems neat. The homebrew stuff, yeah, world is effed. Pretty simple, pretty good. Pretty simple, solid way of doing the setting. Though in my case, I only do that maybe for a one shot, or at least an area is effed, as it were. In my case, I would probably go like in my case, my setting. I've actually tried to stipulate that it has a sort of uh, relative peace. Obviously, stuff goes wrong in it, so you have. But I like the idea of it having a point which you recognise as normal, so that as things go less normal, you have something to compare it to, and you defend to get back to normal, even if it's for a certain amount of time. Then you have little things you can actually get attached to stuff, and so in peace you do all the role playing and you talk to people, and you have all the NPCs and you set up stuff for when stuff goes nuts. And at the moment in my campaign, in my setting, the players have definitely gotten to the point where stuff has gotten nuts. To witter on a little bit, but I'll try and keep this short. The players have gotten to the point where so the world is Umbarak. I specifically made it that it is a world where the people have rebelled against the god that created them, and they have split them into its three constituent parts, and then the world has been saved and has now been ruled for centuries by the fiends, the archfey, the dragons, and the beings that lay beyond the veil. And these creatures have sort of ushered in thousands of years of peace and relative harmony. There's been a few wars here and there. Yeah, and they've just sort of run the things instead of this creator force being, who ended up winning it from the last load of gods. So yeah, pretty cool, very very interesting. EFT is pretty simplified. There's a status quo, but the systems in place are obviously aging and not ready for real conflict. And outside the Empire have been more and more monsters pushing in. Ah, okay. So okay. So you've got a status quo and you're deviating. Yeah, no, that's fine. That sounds cool. That sounds very cool. I'd be interested to know more sometime. Anyway, I was prattling on. So yeah, Burak takes place in this world, and I'm not the biggest fan of medieval fantasy. I can do it, but it's not my comfort zone. So I beefed my stuff up to a sort of steampunkish, Victorianish era-ish. Um, in fact, actually, I bumped mine all the way up to about like level kind of steampunk 1930s aesthetic. So radios exist, and I've been using that as a plot device, as well as dropping things like there's talk show hosts, and uh, one of the party members is a big fan of a radio serial drama called Mystery Darcy, about a tiefling adventurer who fights on his airship against an evil villain. Sort of think steampunk Flash Gordon. Yeah, that's a cute little thing, and but yeah, the idea is that the party members they are currently in the city of Sarif, which is in the Orklands of Sarif, um, which is stipulated within the part of a large continent which is ruled by the fiends. Um, yeah, it's a big industrial place, and that's where you go to get stuff made, typically by artificers or engineers or blacksmiths. It totally run, you know, they are the dominant industry in the area, and they've got loads of bits and pieces. It's also a city which is able to generate its own electricity due to geothermic bits and pieces in the city, and they boil it up in giant things called kettles and there's all this. Yeah, very steampunky sort of stuff. Um, the party were tasked with trying to find and then open a blood mage vault. This was a vault which was held within a this was a vault which was held within a left a former blood mage's apartment building. They just found it there, and they're pretty confident that there is some form of treasure hidden within this room. The only clue that they have how to open it, and that it's even there, are 5 paintings of 5 notable figures within the immediate city. Um, and yeah, the idea is that the paintings are sort of tied to their life force, and they if they die, this they are the painting, their image dies as well, and their tie to the lock is sort of is extinguished, and that part of the lock opens. And they're told this information quite early on, so this is not a spoiler if you ever end up playing. One of the paintings happens to already be dead, and you only have to deal with the 4 in front of you. The party members have managed to figure out how to get round the problem of having to kill innocent people seemingly randomly in order to open up this lock. And they have also finally found and tracked down the final person who is tied to the opening of the vault. The problem is that he's working with a local like a local crime boss who is in charge of the Shadow Militia, a thieves guild within the area named Lady J. She is a 14-year-old heiress of a empire which, like a crime empire, which she's not really like she's quite young for, and has just sort of thrust upon her when her parents just up and snuffed it unexpectedly. So yeah, the idea is that sort of they're basically Artemis Fowl, but with a Y chromosome. Um, when you're doing D&D, sometimes you got to steal from the best, right? Um, and yeah, so the idea is that they've already pissed Lady J off by nearly getting her killed, to the point where she needs like artificer surgery in order to continue to survive. The next time the players see her, she's going to be breathing through some form of apparatus, which is just sort of bolted onto her chest, like she's a very posh-looking Iron Man. They also they also met the final guy which they had to meet, which was the Raven of Scaramesh. This is a orc mage hunter who has some repute, but he is currently working with Lady J in order to try and find a way of opening the vault, because Lady J is interested in the vault for reasons the players have not discovered yet. And she has also been trying to work to get hold of each of the people involved in the vault, but the players have managed to get there first. They also have been able to unlock the vault, but only because Lady J ended up somehow killing and then resurrecting the Raven in order to do it. And now the players have exhausted all possibilities and are now going to and are now currently in a raid against the Shadow Realms, no, sorry, the Shadow Militia's HQ, located within the Sarif city, underneath one of the one of the gigantic kettles providing electricity for the whole city, in one of the abandoned pipelines, which burrows deep into the city ground, and gets closer and closer to the geothermic core underneath. This place is and I have managed to have quite a number of successes. This party is actually not adverse to a fight, but they are willing to explore other things and use their head a lot more than the sort of accepted standard and normal. And yeah, it's quite cool. The first part, they were able to get hold of Shadow Militia clothing, and they were able to sneak past pretty much the entirety of the first floor without incident. We had puzzles in there, man, but no, they went straight past it. So you know what? Sure, fine. As a DM, I don't mind being defeated. I don't mind being circumvented in another way. And if you had fun, cool. That's good. That's good by me. Even if you completely circumvent something, I can just sort of pick it up and put it into the recycle bin for later. So it's not the end of the world. The next bit, unfortunately, was it proved to be a bit more of a challenge, which is good, because I did want to make sure that this was going to be a hard thing as the climactic finale. And they ended up having this fight in a shaft, which actually incorporated verticality into it. So, like a fight on multiple levels. Yeah. So a fight on multiple levels. So the idea is that I had like each level mapped out within the darkness, and the characters had different levels which they could descend to, and they had to climb to each bit in order to get there. But they could also make attacks across levels. So someone which they could see from a higher level, which was standing on a lower one, as long as it was within range, they could make shots against them. Though we did have to start breaking out the Pythagorean calculator in order to figure out whether the hypotenuse of the shot would actually fit within their range. It was quite a staggering fight because it's a lot of enemies. And even though you have the advantage, and they latched onto this pretty quick, that you have the ability to kick enemies off of platforms and make them take at least 5d6 worth of fall damage in order to get rid of them. And most of the enemies in the area are not that tough. The worst that they have is that they had a high AC, and because my world does have enough technology where guns are prevalent, a lot of them were actually decently armed in firearms. Unfortunately, once they got to the point where they needed to attack with just bare metal and hand to hand and in any way, shape, or form, they got their asses handed to them. Well, they got their asses dropped off a very high place. So that's fun. It was great fun though. It was so cool, so cool. In fact, one of the party members drew part of it because she is an amazing person. Just a second, I will go and find it and I will show you. The names have been protected, have been changed to protect the innocent. Where is she? It's here somewhere. She keeps doing this for all of our characters. It's all of the characters during the thing. It's amazing to see. Copy image preview. Can I just do this on a... No? Okay, hang on. Okay, here we go. So, yeah, this she just does sketches of our characters, which makes it so good and so rewarding to do this sort of stuff because it's great to have a sort of visual idea of what's of what these characters are and what you can do with them and so on. And so, in terms of at the front here, this is not Argon. That's my character. This is Steve, or ST3V3. He is a Warforged, which was protecting a dwarven fortress at some point and just escaped. And he ended up signing up with the Defenders Guild, which is what this group is called, a while back, and has been a valuable member ever since. We then have over here, I believe, is Ziliana. Ziliana is the de facto leader of the party at the moment, if only because their old leader has left or has gone off to do other things. Ziliana is a dragonborn, is a human who was turned into a dragonborn for mysterious purposes, and is trying to understand what's going on, avenge her family, and try and save her country, for she is a princess, from the clutches of dragon superiorists. She is also embroiled within the plot, which her patron, a long since dead dragon called Hoth, has sort of set her a task of trying to fight off a Myconid invasion. Many years ago, Hoth led a group which one of the members has actually been tutoring this party as a sort of handler. They've been talking and all that sort of thing, and yeah, Hoth used to run that group who fought against the Myconids the first time, but they're back. And now Ziliana is sort of the next generation and it's passed down. She only knows about this because Hoth was apparently upon his death was turned into a number of different artifacts, of which the party has been encountering. They've only got two so far. They have the dagger of Hoth, which they got at level 1 right at the start of the game, and the second was the hood of Hoth, or the cloak of Hoth, or something like that. But yeah, the hood of Hoth, and the more pieces they have of Hoth, the more complete his memories and his personality is, allowing him to become a better and better patron and character, right? So, but the other neat thing which I did is that I nicked the shadow mechanic from a Lord of the Rings game, a Lord of the Rings 5th edition thing. And the idea is that the items of Hoth have a corrupting influence upon Ziliana or anyone who happens to attune to it. And the characters have been observing aberrant behavior in Ziliana, such as she now strongly, almost addictively, covets all and any jewelry which she finds. In fact, she's currently possessed of quite a number of different sparkly jewels, and is comforted by her hoard. She is also now capable of breathing ice, despite the fact that she's a black dragonborn. And she is also able to, and also her, because she's also taken a point in Warlock, her Eldritch Blast is themed as being an ice blast, because Hoth is a white dragon, therefore ice. Yeah, she's also started to gain like patches of white scales across her face and arms, sort of illustrating the influence of Hoth upon her mind and her body. It's quite a cool mechanic, and it makes these things I feel like quite a character in a sense. It's a very cool thing. I'm really pleased with how it went. And then in the back over here, this is Gabriel Bloodchugger. This is Gabriel Bloodchugger. He is I think he's a half orc. Yeah, he's a half orc.
It happened today with Shadow Raid.
Half orc. Yeah, so he's a half orc who is a wonderful sweetie, to be perfectly honest. His normal attire is not this. His normal attire is a bow tie, a clean shirt, I think braces, and shorts and some heavy boots. He is a barbarian, despite all appearances, and he is a lovely boy. I sort of imagine.
It depends.
Yeah, Lenny from Of Mice and Men gives you a pretty good idea of what he's like. He's a lovely boy. He adores his the china set which he got from his mother. He adores bow ties. He likes
Yeah,
fluffy
there's some that
things,
can
and
be stuff
and he gets angry whenever anyone does mean things. So he's a little bit slow, but he's a lovely character, and he's been a very loyal party member for the entirety of the thing. And yeah, it's been a pleasure playing with him. And the idea is that the idea is that one day his mother disappeared, and being the good boy that he is, Gabriel just went out and tried to find them, and he's not managed to find her yet, but hopefully, if he keeps looking, he will. So yeah, that's three members of the party. There's also Runwin, which is a mouse folk sorcerer, who has the weight of the shoulder and all the expectations of home on her shoulders. As she has been tasked specifically by an archfey, Panic, the patron saint of cowards, cowardice, and rabbits. And she is trying to save the world from myconids because it's her duty. Um, there is also Rocky, who is played by Foxy, who is he is a clockwork pony. Origins unknown. The only origins which they seem to know necessarily is that he was dwarven made, and he used to work for a drow family. He used to have a child, but due to circumstances he couldn't outside of his control, he was deactivated, reactivated, and found that he could not find his child. He effectively was created as a nanny bot, and he's been separated from his child for so long. He is just trying to find them. Yeah, and that's his mission. But he's joined up with the party after being sold to the party, to be honest, by another character. Um, who else? I think that's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Am I missing anyone? There are the goblins. We also have just a rambling rampage of goblins. One of our party members, one of our players, can't always turn up. So instead, we decided to solve this by giving them the goblins. The goblins are non sequiturs. They just turn up whenever they want to. There's about 20 or 30 of them, but there's always a head principal goblin who always actually takes actions and does things. But otherwise, they are drunkards. They brew their own alcohol, and for most part, whenever they turn up in a fight, they throw bottles at things.
Oh yeah, once those
Oh, I love those guys. It's so fun. It is a privilege to work with these guys and to run games for them. It is an absolute joy. I love doing it, and I am so glad that I managed to find them. Right, I have been wittering on for a while. I am going to go to the toilet, and I am also going to grab a drink, very as tall as I can possibly grab. So I will be back in about hopefully 5-10 minutes, and uh, when we come back, we'll continue trying to do code. You got me on D&D. This is your fault. I take no responsibility. No, okay, it's entirely my fault. I did say so. Anyway, I will be right back. Tatty bye. Bananas. 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 Why can I? Don't need that.
Should I delay that other one?
Let's push live. There we go. Bananas, bananas, bananas. Hooray. Okay. Right, I'm back. Jump to there we go. That one. Ah! Ha ha! Oh, there we go. That's better. Right, one possibility you might have heard is that there's a fan behind me, and that's because, as you may have noticed, as I slowly turn into Weird Al Yankovic's evil brother, it's the hair, man. It's the hair. It's getting ridiculous. I haven't seen a barber in, admittedly, years, but still, yeah, the fan is necessary in here because unfortunately there is at least two decent machines in here which are kicking out a considerable amount of heat. One might be okay. Two, you start to run into problems, and both of them are doing something pretty heavy duty. So we have to have some preemptive things. But yes, George Law, thank you very much. I hope you. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. It's been lovely chatting with you, and yeah, the back and forth. And I hope your games go well. I don't know if you're still there, but yeah, you two have a good weekend as well. Right, now that I've stopped whittering on about TT, which I will do until the day I die, let us go and hello. Ah, yes, yeah. I'm going to swap. Actually, no, you can't see it. You're okay, Foxy. I don't think you can't see it. It's not.
Oh, that's an ages ago.
Yeah. It is not visible. It's just a. It's just a white. It's just a white smudge, whatever's on your screen, which is fine. Means you can't get me into trouble by having something naughty on there. Well, providing I still have anyone watching. Oh, sorry, I still need to do things. So let's carry on. Let's get buttons on screen, shall we? So, thinking. Okay, this thing should still say how you actually use it, right? No. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this over here. And then, yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh, I see. It's just moving to the same thing of the same. Right. Okay. Uh-huh. Yeah, we've already done that. We've already done this. The menu object. Aha. So we can have a menu object. Scene Rex UI add menu menu config. Okay. Well, the quicker we can get at least something on screen, the quicker we can get to TF2 because it's getting late and I would like to shoot something today. Not spawn. Not spawn. Right. Menu blah 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 blah. Import class add menu object. Admin. Oh, here we go. Create scene callback. Scene item scene container address. Oh, Jesus Jones. Oh, lordy. Oh, okay. Good lord. Well, that's going to be a bit more than I was expecting. Still, if we can get something on screen, that'd be lovely. Okay, what we need, game scene? Let's use game scene. What is this doing, actually? This is not doing anything in particular, so you know what, sod it. Let us create a new JavaScript file, and we will call this menu scene. dot oh, no, it's already a JavaScript file. We don't need to bother. Cool. Right. Now we start populating this with stuff from here. Okay, so we also should be able to, so we change the name of that. This is now a menu screen, which, yeah, we are going to need the character object, are we? No, yes, we are, because we're going to have to display things from the character. Import characters, no. Actually, no, we're not, because we're going to be pulling, are we? How did I manage it in fight scene? Character list. Oh, I did. Okay. So grabbing them and generating them here, that's fine. For now, that's okay, because we're whatever. Okay, character object. Yeah, because we're just generating a huge list of these things and we'll just grab them later. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. That is okay. You know, let's grab this function because that seems useful. At some point, it would make more sense to have a centralized thing for this sort of stuff, but for now, so an object where we just keep all of the character data and grab it whenever we need it. But for now, we'll just plod on with whatever we've got. Get character object. Yep. Okay. Cool. Fight scene. So we will.
The venomous one is 15% weak.
We have a character list, and
I just did my restricted charge.
this character list not actually do anything. It's not used anywhere. Fair enough. We'll just get rid of it then. Get character object, yeah. Okay, so this should make sense to just be like, okay. So what we can do is we can set up a quick. Actually, we might as well set up the other thing. So, because we've inherited, so this is a game scene, and we have inherited from phaser.scene. There are certain functions which we need in order to function as a scene. There are certain things which are expected to be there, and if they're not, the program gets stroppy. So, we need a preload function. Preload, and this is for stuff before we load the game. We have the create function,
Some of them just to see if they're
which is where we create things. So we create objects and classes and sprites and things. Update is where we update the functions. We may need that. Maybe for visual aspects. At least we can leave it there. Clean up, create HD. Those are things which this guy has created. I think that's all we need. That should be everything. Yeah. Update has a time and delta variable, which is very useful, very important. Because time and delta stuff is for making sure that you can tie things to the frame rate of the game. So things like things going off at a certain time, or like updating animations and stuff so that they play at a nice stable 60 frames per second, which obviously you want be for a myriad kettle of reasons. All right, let's see. So we grab the character data up here. We are right in the create. In the create thingamajig, we want this. So this dot character list dot push, which appends whatever we put within these brackets into an array. An array is a list of things. it's a bit more, some complexity on top of that, but basically it is a list of things. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to grab that, and we're going to turn that into a thing. So default dot for, hopefully this is an array, and we should be able to just pull that out. That's wrong, that's the wrong syntax, right? So for each is a function which allows us to go through every single thing in the array and dictate what happens to them. Okay, so now for every single character which we have in our database, in our manifest, the ones which we've told the computer about, we now go to iterate through that list for each character. We add them to the list. Well, we use their data in order to generate a character object, and then we add that to the list, and we can use that in order to populate our menu, in theory. As for said menu, okay. So is that just a thing I can go and grab? I do hope it is. Oh yeah, it wasn't working. Oh, I am good at this. I may end up trying to fix this later on. Moment, I am very annoyed. Do we just set it up now? What is the problem again? So it does not know what that is. Phaser game objects shape. Round rectangle.
You don't need a want to do spells, do you? Or a start thing. I'm thinking of going. Okay, I'm gonna go warfare, necromancer. That's true. And necromancer is intelligence based.
I'm wondering if this is a webpack thing.
Oh, but then my shield.
Do I just get rid of it? Maybe I'll get rid of it for something else. I don't know.
Yeah.
Try one of the others, maybe.
Yeah.
What the hell?
And I like the shield because
Hack Phaser 3 template, no.
I could spec out of doing one-handed, I guess.
Oh yeah, I was just looking at that. No. Scenes.
That's true.
Oh, this looks good. This looks good. Okay, okay. Well, if we don't like something, what we can do is that we are always able to just tell it to go away. npm uninstall phaser rex plugins. I'm not too tied to it. It's not like I care that much. if we can't use it, but I would obviously prefer. I just need something that works without too much bother on my end. That should be okay.
Lockpicks. That's going to. Oh, yeah, it's true. Alright, we'll take it.
Okay, NPM iPhaser UI tools.
Oh,
Hopefully this will work. So this, oh, it's downloaded already. That's nice. So this looks like it would be quite nice. It's got text sprites.
Oh god.
Sprite that I can have a text on top. Oh, that actually might be useful. Text button. Oh, that would be really nice. Might have to swap the ones which we've already got with something. Columns, so we can group things by columns and rows and stuff and make them all look nice and uniform. Viewport. Phaser groups of the children are visible within the viewport area. Objects can be charged of a group and can likewise be in a group viewport. Combined in a scroll bar to create a scrollable display. Placing a column or row instead of viewpoint is a simple way to align content. Ah, okay, so online, so UI widgets and stuff. Oh, that's lovely. A scroll bar. That's nice. That's actually something which we're going to want. Value bar. That is going to be really useful when we get to settings and things. Quantity bar. That will be useful. A little bit late for some of this, but hey. Oh, there's tweening animations. Maybe we will want to look at that at some point and swap the things which we've got already. 3D wheel. Interesting. Well, let's see if we can get it even working. So, copy. So, let's see if we can get, honestly, anything functioning.
I love it.
So, menu scene. This is all our grubby stuff. We'll put that at the top to give it the best chance. Right, so what were we doing? Okay, so let's flesh this out. Let's give this, let's have a viewport. Viewport, as far as I can tell, suggests that this is a doodad which allows us to grab. Sure. As far as I can tell, this is a doodad which allows us to create a little box in which everything that's in it is only visible while it's in it. A little bit like UI elements on a screen, like a mini map, for example. That would be a good one. Alright. Okay, so viewports are set up like this. Column, new column. Okay, new.
We even said we're going to help.
Right. Yes. Okay, so hopefully this will. Oh, one thing which we should do is actually sort this out so it works with everything else. Right, so we set up our scene. So menu scene. Menu scene. Good. It has not found it. Oh, it's just unused. Okay. Menu scene. There we go. Yep, it's found it now. Default export.
Oh, yeah, it's still here.
Okay. Node requires you to export all and any of your stuff once you've done with it. So it needs you to do this, which means it exports it onto the platform to make it available across the whole thing. It's a whole thing, and it's weird and complicated, but it's how it works. Unused class menu scene. Right, so now it's found it. Now it's happy. Now it should be good. 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 Okay, we have our character data in theory. Oh, has this completely screwed everything up, and is it now broken? It is still broken. Cannot add a scene with a duplicate. Oh. What? Further. What? No. What is that? You're good now. Go away. Should be okay, right? Yeah, and then it's being stroppy at me, and I'm not entirely certain why. Come on.
Oh, arena, right?
Load, damn you! Fight scene is not defined. What are you on about? Oh, are we? Right. Okay, we're trying to export something that doesn't exist from a menu scene. Okay, that's fine. That's okay. That's on me. Good, we're working again. Huzzah! Huzzah!
The only thing I really want to do is
We have stuff going on. This is a good. This is a good. All right. Okay. Yep. Sure. All right. So now let's try and see if we can get a viewport working. Yes, coding really is this slow, and really is just bouncing off of an idea. It doesn't work, and then the fastest thing in my experience is usually just go and carry on and try something else. Placing a column around the simple ways of line content. Yes. Alright, so we should be able to create a new one by going this view menu viewport equals new viewport. What does a viewport require? Because a lot of things have got something called a constructor, which requires it to have stuff given to it so we can configure it. In this case, what on earth are you on about? Game, this, maybe? I'm going to try just handing it the scene object, which is what it's currently in, and then I am going to try okay, so this is probably a here we go. This should be useful. Right, so this is getting the game's height and width. I swear I had a more reliable, like a better version of that somewhere. I don't know where that is. No, I don't think I know. Actually, is it in scene? Oh, the eternal joys of having to figure out where everything bleeding well is. Scene gain config width and height. No, I did not come up with a better version. Never mind. Cool, cool. Menu, yeah, cool. Okay, so what I'm pasting in now is just a couple of numbers, a couple of variables which do nothing except illustrate that grab from the game the maximum height and width of the thing on screen. So screen height and screen width. Now, very useful for positioning things. So if we want something to be slap bang in the middle of something, a really quick way of doing that is to go screen width times 0.5, which is the same as dividing by 2, and screen height times 0.5. Doing it this way for two reasons. One, I swear I got told somewhere that multiplication is faster than division. Don't know if that's true in JavaScript, but it's just something I do. It's also useful for being able to just, well, It is also useful for being able to just dial things around. So if you need it to be, say, like 75% across the screen, then you just write in 75 after the decimal point, and you can pretty much do that as a percentage, which is effectively what we're working with. Now, we can also do this in terms of screen width and screen height. So, because I want to, so I'm going to make it half the screen width, and I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it screen height times 0.75, and that should work. It's only one word, Tyro, so that should be fine. Yes.
Do you want? Which one would you like?
Okay, so one thing which we can do is we can also create a column.
Spear and daggers, and I just give him the 600 rate.
What does that mean? Column. Does this not have a better API than this? Documentation, that's better. Alright. Column. So this is an X, Y, background image. Oh, that's nice. Modal. If the column should block external interaction until killed. Huh. Alright. Game object. Current game instance. Sure. If you definitely need that, we can go and grab that, but for now. Actually, just to be on the safe side, we'll grab that from the scene. There we go. That's better. Alright, this menu column. No, we don't need to do that really. This underscore menu viewport dot add node. Is that how you do it?
Books to Sibyl, right?
Sibyl. Yeah, no, there should be a function called add node in here somewhere.
I'm fairly sure there's another one in one of the camps after you get out of
Maybe it's just not in the documentation. That's mildly annoying. Anyway, main viewport, add node, new column. So this is expecting position, Y position. I'm just going to set it at X and I'm just going to set it at 0 and 0 and see what happens. Hopefully it'll just sit in the middle. So 0, 0. Oh no, at some point we need to add things to this column. This menu column equals new column. There we go. This dot game, the game object is passed in. Some of these should be optional. Actually, most of this is optional. If we're just setting it to 0, we can just do that. Background image you should use, modal, yep. Then we add menu column to the viewport. Cool. We should now be able to add buttons.
I think I've got.
There's a problem here. Can I resolve symbol column? Really?
I have 1640.
I'm just going to hope that's working. Cool, okay. Right, so we should be able to add things to the column which is currently sitting within the viewport.
Use the what, sir?
So, this dot
Oh, yeah. No,
start button. Actually, we'll go with fight button. Sure.
oh, yeah.
This dot fight button equals new
Right.
text button. Text button, I am going to guess, requires the game object because they all do. Is there anyone online? Anyone around? Just me talking to myself. Cool. Yeah, maybe if I do this often enough, people have interest. Oh well, that's the way it goes. There's still someone to watch afterwards. Anyway, on with the show. Okay, so game X and Y key callback. Okay, this is looking a bit more complicated.
Well,
Instance numbers event X Y text Y adjustments. Why is that an event? Sure. Alright, game X coordinate on screen where X sprite will be placed. Yeah, for now I'm just going to say just 0, 0 because we're going to add it to a column. Hopefully that will be okay. Callback object.
50
Callbacks used when there's a key. Image to create a sprite with. Ah! Food scene. We should have a button object. Let's have you copy. Menu scene. Boom. Okay, use the button idle for that. Over key, out key, down key, up key. Nice. Okay, so this is giving exactly the functionality we want. Callback contacts is called in. Oh, nice. Yes, callback. To use when the button is clicked. Yes. Okay, so what we can do here is we can specify our own function within the thing. Set it out like this because it makes it slightly nicer to read. Otherwise it'd just be a jumbled mess. No, yes, maybe. There you go. Stop throwing a strop now. Damn it, this callback. What exactly is it doing? I know what an object is. I want to know more about the callback. Is it giving something, having something? I mean, what is it doing? It's all very well having a callback, but it doesn't actually tell us anything. Unless it has an example somewhere. I am going to go with a fat old no. Well, poop. Never mind. Alright, for now that'll have to do. Okay, so the menu scene, it might as well take us to the fight scene. That is something which the title screen already does. So it brings a drop registry, start key, input on. Ah, yes. So instead, no, Yeah, start game. Yes, that's taking us to a fight scene. That can take us to the menu scene instead. Menu scene. So now that takes us to the menu scene, and then the menu scene now has a little function that can take us to the fight scene, like a real game.
Oh, I see. One's a rock and one's a hard place. They keep launching things at allies.
Good. Fight scene, yes. Yep. And
Resist super resistant to fire.
that should
And
be good enough.
super resistant.
Callback context. What we can do is we can add this, and that's what we call all of our functions on. So that's the context, little bubble, where we are expected to be trying to call and do all this sort of stuff from. A little bit complicated and weird, but it's what it's doing. The over key, the out key, the down key, the up key. Okay, so these are referring to more assets, which is good. So the first one which is asking for is the over. Well, we have that asset, it's that one from the button which we made roughly from scratch. And then it's the over key, the out key. So we're going to go with idle on that one because it means that the button is no longer doing anything. Down key. So that means that the button has now been clicked, and then the up key. So what it switches to when the button when the button has detected that you've lifted your finger off of the mouse. Very simple. Good. That is a good. All right. Okay, next step is this menu column dot add node this dot fight button. Hopefully this works. It's loaded and it's crashed. This character list dot push is not a function. Damn. Because it's an object, you fool. You foolish fool. That is not an array. Hoisky. Right, okay, that should do it. Oh, no, we've stopped again. Why? Q depth sort of undefined.
If they're dead, then we can resurrect them.
What in the flying hell is that? Okay. What? Q depth Oh dear.
Oh, cool, that way.
Q depth sort of undefined. Is it because we're trying to make these in the wrong place, or because... I wish I had a better example to work from here. Is this? No, this is something else. What am I looking at? What am I looking at? Come on. Do you have examples? Docs, settings, issues? Not disabled an object that I don't port in phaser 3. Okay. Well, hopefully they've got some code to look at so we can have an example. Nope. Okay. Pull quests? No, these probably aren't going to be all that useful. Okay, another possibility is to have a look. Only one, no, no, hoping that there is an example. In fact, let's specify an example. I'm getting the impression that these are just supposed to work, unfortunately. Okay, so that's just a forum post, and then it brings me back here. That is not very useful. To know, this suggests that I might have given something wrong or done something incorrectly. Just for fun, I'm going to see, at this point, once your game just stops working correctly for what you expect, you just have to start messing around with it and hope that at some point it's going to make sense. I'm going to try that. So instead of giving it the game object, I'm going to give it the scene. That has worked. What on earth is that on screen? So there's something there. I don't know what, but there's something there. Ah, yes, that's the character data. That's not very useful. Okay, for the column, I'm actually going to try doing this. So we'll set it X and Y to that. So we'll put it directly in the middle, and then hopefully directly in the middle for the button as well. No, that's not what that does. That's adding it to a node. We'll do that.
Physical.
Hopefully that is what it's doing. Okay, swap over to the game. I cannot see a button. Oh no. Now we have the eternal joy of trying to... Oh, no. Now we have the eternal joy of trying to figure out why this is not working. It's clearly on screen, it's just not doing anything of any particular use or interest. So, in this jumbled mess is our code. It's a bit uglified because that's just how it looks, unfortunately. Okay, I'll put in a breakpoint here, so by the time the fight button has been created, everything else should have as well. The fight button, sort of a new column. Oh god. List. It has nothing in it. But then how does this work? Constructor? No, that's of no use. No immediate use anyway. Alpha bottom length. Blah, blah. Keep digging through the prototype, maybe. There are functions on this thing, right? Fence children, real height, real width. Okay, add node is a function in here somewhere. Right. Let us consult the manuals once again. Sprite A, Sprite B, Sprite C, which are assumedly made somewhere else. Column 8, 8. Oh, I am really feeling like I might want to just pack it in for tonight. It's getting late-ish, and I want to go shoot something.
Encouraged. Time to stop sucking.
I could not agree more, Foxy. Tools, blah, yeah. This looks powerful. It looks good. I just will keep the size because, sure, why not? Actually, just to be sure, let's make sure it's like the size and width, so we can at least make sure we can see something. That's halfway between them both. Sure. Let's see if that works.
That's just fucking rude.
And I still see nothing. Now, why would that be? Zero,
Oh,
zero,
I hate having one
Zero.
point left.
0. Still nothing. I wonder why I added this to a node.
Stop healing the dog, you goddamn bad. Yeah. I mean,
Okay, instead I'm going to try adding all of the sprites to the column and see if that works. Providing that you even can. It's possible you can't. I would certainly hope that you can, because otherwise this is maddening and futile. You can. That's good. That's good to know. Okay. So if that is at 0.100, 100, then where's everything else? 200, 200, 200, 200.
They are poison.
Huh. Right. Hmm.
Oh, that's fine.
I'm starting to wonder if this might require a little bit more finagling with later.
Where is it?
Scroll display. Yeah, this might need some on-screen tinkering. Off-screen tinkering, rather. Oh, dear. Yeah, this is going to take a bit of finagling in order to understand what I'm actually supposed to do with it. Why it's not turning up. Why it's not on screen. I don't know why. At least I don't know why this button isn't appearing.
Yeah.
Text button, text button. It's supposed to be given text then or something. That would make sense. Text button, text button, text button. Text button. Key, frame to switch to and over target. There it is. Oh, right. These are numbers.
That fire just transcends it.
I haven't set it up like that. I have not set it up like that. Never mind, I'll just use my own. Right, where is my button? My button.
Alright, Rexy, time to die.
Here we go. Right.
It's just, I think it's because the dog is slightly higher up that they're liable with this weird stuff.
Good, it's found the right button object as well. Is there anything there which it's trying to figure out? No.
I like that I don't really get
No.
healed.
No, that should be fine. Yep.
I
Okay.
healed
Okay.
through
We're
it,
good.
so-
We're good. I'll change that to fight because a fit. No, fight. And obviously it no longer has that for its thing, so mine is a bit jank and could do some more work. However, where was that thing I was looking at? Boot scene, no. Game scene, menu scene, title scene. There we go. Scene start.
Oh wait, no, path is
Menu scene.
interrupted. The angle is too steep.
Okay, let's try this. Fight scene. Menu scene.
Path is interrupted.
Good, good. Yes, that should work. Context, replace this and this because of complicated
Good, I
reasons.
physically can't do anything.
Node, blah 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 blah. Node, blah, blah,
Is it
blah, blah.
capable?
Yep,
No,
okay.
you can't walk on that.
Alright, let's see what that's done. Title screen. Ah!
Outside.
It kind of works. Something is on screen. I have no idea where it is, but it's on screen.
Summon another voted corpse
Hee
with
hee hee.
floating sex, and I'll do that next time.
Ah, bollocks. Just straight up. Nope. Damn. That was almost a slam dunk, and no, it isn't.
Destroys physical armor. That is cool.
Oh, why is that not working?
But Apple like the Jimmy Christmas website.
Nope. 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 I mean, it's on screen. That's a delight. That's a wonder. But for right now, I am slowly losing the will to live. I just no. Oh, because it's added to a separate scene. It's added to the scene separately. Therefore, it must be added. It's not. It's not being added to this group. Ah.
Oh no, they're immediate.
Ah.
Well, that's just damn.
Gotcha. Yes. Okay. So it's possible it is being added here, it's just I can't see it and I don't know why. Ugh.
This creates this electrified surface.
I'm slowly going off this. I really am. Never mind. You know what, for now I've done enough. I'm content with my coding for today. I have experimented. I will have to try some other stuff another time. For right now, I never mind. You know, never mind. Whatever happens, happens. It's fine. It's good. It's fine that it's not working, and it's fine that it's broken. I have been streaming for 2.5, almost 3 hours. That's a lot for today. I might do this more often. You know, person who is talking. Manage moderators? I should do moderators at some point. I'll fiddle with that later. Right now, I'm going to go because I've been wittering on for about 3 hours, and I think that's enough. Thank you very much for watching. I will probably do this another time soon because I want to get this done, and I've only got a few more days left before this thing is sorted. So for now, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed, and I will be ready with another stream another time, and hopefully we'll actually shoot something. I'm just going to go lay on the sofa now. Bye.